The Jamaica Emergency Employment Program, JEEP. What has the government's initiative achieved and how impactful it has been on people's lives? Minister of National Security Peter Bunting is this week's guest on Issues and Answers. Plus, it's the Yuletide season. We have some money-saving tips for you. Hi, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Welcome. It's Jamaica Magazine. As you've just seen, we have a great show lined up for you today. Please stay with us.
Hi, this is Tessan, and I want all you young people to listen to me very carefully. Crime doesn't pay. You can do so much with your life. Don't throw it away in some gang. Stay in school and work hard for what it is you want. It's up to you. Your future will be determined by the decisions you make. Remember, a gang is a dead end.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Improved safety and security is a strategic priority of the government. Focus has been on reducing the crime rate and changing the perception of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, among other initiatives. Next, we put the issues to Minister of National Security Peter Bunting. Watch this.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. The Minister of National Security, the Honorable Peter Bunting, is our guest today. He'll be speaking to us about the critical areas under his portfolio. We know that this matter of national security is uppermost in your minds, and therefore we put the questions that we imagine you would want the Minister to answer. We thank you so much for joining us. Minister, good to have you in our studios.
Glad to be here.
In light of the increase in crime and our failure to get crime down to an acceptable level, there have been calls for your own resignation. There has been the view that you have not succeeded in this portfolio and therefore you should step aside. How do you respond?
Well, there have been calls from, I think, the first month I was in office. I well recall my first morning waking up to the call from police control, one day in office, and it was to report that there were 8 murders overnight in the 24-hour period.
What a start.
And life has been quite different since that time. I think some of the, everybody is entitled to make a call, and I think, we often look for a scapegoat, a simple target when things are not going wrong. Among other things, it helps us avoid, taking responsibility for what we can do.
But what about the view that you should take responsibility?
Well,
there should be some accountability that you should exercise.
I'm always accountable to the people and to the Prime Minister who appoints me. But when you hear the calls, you would expect them to hear, what is it that I should have done that I didn't do? Right. And I don't hear anybody saying that. Yes. Because in the almost 2 years that I've been minister, we've made tremendous investments in the security apparatus. We've spent over $1 billion on vehicles, more than 3 times what was spent in the previous 2 years. We have recruited well over 2,000 additional police personnel. We have
in the 2 years?
In the 2 years. We've passed a whole series of legislation, some of them very powerful and which we're already getting convictions under. We have brought additional technology to bear. We've improved relationship with our international partners. We have improved our intelligence collection and analysis capability. So, it is one thing to stand and criticize, but what what is it that I should have done that I haven't? And, you know, I'm always open to doing better, but one thing I do know, Ian, I mean, this has consumed my life for the past 2 years. It's a job that you live 24 hours of the day. Even when you're sleeping, it still preoccupies you, and it's something I feel very committed to, very passionate about. And as long as I have the opportunity to continue in this role, you know, I'm going to give it my all.
And just a few days ago, you launched a Unite for Change campaign, and the thrust of this is that national security is the business of all of us. It takes a cooperative effort to deal with this. Explain to us further this Unite for Change.
Absolutely. When you look at all the studies of the countries, or in some cases cities, in bigger countries like the United States, for example, where they have made dramatic improvements in the safety and security environment, in almost every case, it has resulted from a multidisciplinary approach. It's not just police force alone. You have interventions at the level of school, because oftentimes the problem of violence is largely a problem of youth violence, where oftentimes school-age boys in particular form a sort of pool of recruits for criminal gangs and organized crime. So school interventions, public health interventions, how we design the built environment, how we do what is generally referred to as renorming or reshaping the norms. When you have dysfunctional elements of culture that develop in communities which facilitate one way or the other criminal activity or accept criminal activity as a norm, then you have the challenge of renorming or reshaping the norms of a society. These things don't happen overnight. We got when you know, I showed a graph of the increase in murders over the last 4 decades or so. You know, it's pretty much a steady upward climb, and that deterioration is going to require sustained effort over years to change. It won't just come from crime control initiative, but also crime prevention initiatives, which deals a lot with that intervention, community by community, dealing with employment and employability, dealing with community-level structures and strengthening and empowering community-level
integrated
justice systems, etc.
Approach. We take a break at this point, Minister. When we come back, we want to talk about some of those integrated approaches to security. The Minister of National Security, the Honorable Peter Bunting, is our guest on Issues and Answers. We take a brief break.
This is Ramin Virgo. I'm now appeal to all of the youths them to just stay away from crime and violence. We know the temptation, the money, the fast life. People say them rate you. But that will only take you nowhere. If you stay in school and focus, then you can achieve anything. Be your own leader. A gang is a dead end.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Welcome back. Minister of National Security, the Honorable Peter Bunting, who a few days ago launched the Unite for Change campaign, speaks to us on Issues and Answers. And Minister, have you been working with various stakeholders to ensure that this integrated approach is taken with regard to national security?
Absolutely. We're restructuring how we work at the interministerial level, and we've brought all the key ministries onto the Public Order Committee of Cabinet, which I chair, and we're going to try and coordinate all the various social interventions that we have, not just from the Ministry of National Security, but from other ministries, not just from projects, but from their mainstream budgets, to see how we can coordinate, you know, the so-called joined-up government to have the biggest impact possible. But beyond that, we want to really, and I've met individually with the umbrella group of churches, I've met with media owners, I've gone down to the Ministry of Education. Minister Thwaites has allowed me to speak to his senior management team, because we see school-based interventions, positive behavioral intervention support at the level of the schools. Because typically by 12 or 13, you can identify a potential gang recruit. And if you have an effective intervention, then the odds of them going, the wrong way will be much less. In fact, one of the studies that Dr. Ward, our epidemiologist, shared with us was that in a particular gang or gangs in a particular area that they studied, 86% of gang members had dropped out of school before grade 9. That means before 15 years old. And therefore, if you imagine a 15-year-old boy on the road every day, nothing to do, he's going to not attached to any training institution, any apprenticeship, etc., then they're a very vulnerable target group for gangs to recruit from. And gangs deliberately recruit from that pool because, one, they're easily influenced, they're unattached, they're looking to belong to something, and they believe that the security forces will be less serious in taking on these kids, and even if they're caught, the courts, etc., are going to be gentle because these are juveniles. Even though in some cases we've had juveniles who have been arrested for 10 murders. So it's a complex, challenging issue. I think if we believe it's going to be resolved by policing alone, we're being overly simplistic. All the cases of success show that in Colombia, for example, where they were battling the narco-terrorists for decades, when they turned the corner in the 2002 to 2010 period, was when the entire society got behind the government in terms of what they call the democratic security plan.
When the entire society...
When the entire society said, look, enough is enough. We're turning our face against these
So your Unite for Change campaign is aiming at bringing about this kind of critical mass in the society.
Precisely. And I really use this opportunity to appeal again to all well-thinking persons, NGOs, churches. There are a lot of groups out there to come on board, and there's something that everybody can do. If a church would just take responsibility, adopt one community in the area that they operate and say, we're going to do some things towards reducing violence in this community. And not that they will be responsible. Obviously, ultimately, the government is responsible, but they're making themselves accountable to improving the situation. And if we have that, service clubs, if some of our private sector organizations take on as an issue some of those foundations that big companies have, could take on the issue of youth violence prevention and see that as a meaningful thing to put their resources, not just money, but some of the resources of their management resources of their executives, and take this on as an issue in the communities in which they operate. I think eventually you would get a momentum going that would be paradigm shifting.
And celebrities can go into communities, give motivational talks.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I'm very encouraged by, there's a group of artists who have taken on voluntarily to do a song to support the Unite for Change campaign. And I'm hoping that, within a week or two, that will be out. And they're doing it free of cost.
Well, Minister, there are some other issues that we need to talk to you about next week. So we're going to invite you to be back with us next week. Minister of National Security, the Honorable Peter Bunting, talking to us today about the recently launched Unite for Change campaign, a campaign that ought to involve you. You'll be back next week to talk to us further on national security issues. Until then, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.
Is job hunting getting you down? Are you between the ages of 21 and 45? Are you a high school graduate with at least 3 to 5 years experience working in any of these areas? Tanker driving, fast food restaurant service, truck and transport mechanics, heavy-duty mechanics, or welding? If yes, then you could get the chance to join thousands of Jamaicans who have found employment opportunities in Canada. Get your information to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security's electronic labour exchange system. Email your resume to workstudymlss@gmail.com and you will be up for consideration. Act now and increase your chances for employment. For more information, contact the Labour Ministry at 922-3904.
I needed help to expand my business, but the banks only wanted to be up in my business. The high interest rates were killing my business. They never really business with my business.
At the Exim Bank, we have your business needs covered. Our application process is easy, and we provide loans at competitive rates for the productive sector. From renewable energy projects and working capital to plant upgrades or expansion and export financing. Come in and talk to us today. The Exim Bank. On the road to success, you are going to want us in your business.
More than 39,000 persons have been employed under the Jamaica Emergency Employment Program, helping to fulfill government's mission of providing short to medium-term employment. Coming up, the program's positive impact on the lives of residents.
The Jamaica Emergency Employment Program, JEEP, is one of the government's strategies for countering chronic unemployment among some Jamaicans, particularly those in lower socioeconomic groups. Persons with special needs, those with low skill levels, and those from underserved communities have been benefiting. The St. Andrew community of Jonestown is among them. Residents of the area have been enjoying an uplifting journey with JEEP that's taking them down the road to a place where critical community infrastructure are in place and the path to financial independence is laid.
It helps out a whole lot of people because enough of the youth them there and really nothing ever go on. So when this come in, the whole community in general have something to do and everybody appreciates it, you know.
Important drainage network and collapsed retaining walls were repaired under the program. In the process, short-term employment was created for the skilled and semi-skilled residents on the various projects.
Well, the program is good enough. It helps a lot of people. Me and get employed, I meet employed 3 other persons with me.
It's good for the community. We have lots of people, we have plumber, we have mason, and painter who do the work here.
Roadways in the community also got a facelift, and unsightly zinc fences have been removed and replaced with more aesthetically pleasing concrete block walls.
I think it's upliftment of the community now, to get rid of the zinc fence and put concrete structure in the walls. They feel good because some of them can't afford the concrete walls and to get rid of the zinc fence, you know. So I think it's very good for them.
When them things are going on, you know, find a man say, boy, I go do this time, I go thief, I go, you know, say my rough got morning, either I'm going to carry some cement and some concrete.
The Jonestown Primary School, located in the center of the inner city community, is regarded as a true community school, serving the heavily populated Jonestown and surrounding areas. But the wear and tear of time has made its mark on the institution's physical infrastructure, until JEEP delivered a well-needed facelift.
This bright look is both internal and external, because all the classrooms have also been repainted. We're proud of our restored and refurbished classrooms. We're proud of this auditorium, restored and refurbished, and the staff room. The school has a new roof, and the leaking ceiling has been repaired. Our students now have a dining room that opens into a nicely refurbished kitchen. A guidance facility was constructed, complete with 2 private counseling rooms. And thanks to 7 newly installed water tanks and a pump, students and teachers now have a regular, uninterrupted water supply.
The renovation work created short-term employment for about 40 persons. The 2-month project, done at a cost of almost $6 million, is part of a larger development plan to create a more learning-friendly environment at Jonestown Primary.
The current school board of management has undertaken a major redevelopment program which is focused on rebranding the school and restoring excellence on 3 dimensions: educational, physical, and community outreach.
JEEP and the contributions from other agents of change has taken the school closer to achieving these development goals.
The Ministry of Education gave us the initial funds that we used to do the external painting, and it helped us to get us on the way to start with our program. Then the Jamaica Emergency Employment Program, otherwise known as JEEP, which favorably considered our application for funding. We felt that our needs were significant enough to justify the funding, and they came through for us.
For more information on JEEP, call 754-2584 or visit the Ministry of Transport Works and Housing's website, mtw.gov.jm/JEEP.
Sunday is a family day. We cook together, talk, share ideas and help each other. We reason about things.
I spend quality time with my family every day.
It is very important because at the end of the day, you have children around you and you have to show them that, okay, this is the foundation, this is the way it's supposed to be.
They keep the family together and in line, and especially with the boys.
Yes, it's Christmas and there are gifts to buy. A big dinner must be planned and events to attend. But don't splurge and come January you're broke. Next, point is on keeping some pennies in your pocket during the festive season.
Silver bells, it's Christmas time in the city.
Oh yes, it's definitely Christmas time. The air is crisper, shopping malls are lit, and television commercials are trying to get you to buy everything from paint to pricey presents. But making those holiday purchases this year may be harder than it's ever been. For many Jamaicans, 'tis the season to be thrifty.
I don't have anything to celebrate with. The economic crunch is so much on me. You lend me some money?
Well, Christmas rough, because we're not seeing the money. Well, you can scrape up like money to buy like food and probably buy something for the kids and so forth. But not like even the last year or the year before. Because boy, it's really tight.
Last year things was different than now because this year Christmas get harder.
Well, I plan to pay the basic bills, eat well, and that's it. No exorbitant spending. Dr. Andrea Sutherland, lecturer in finance at the University of Technology, Jamaica, says careful budgeting is the way to make the most of what you have.
It is something that I think a lot of us will have to think about for this Christmas, and not only Christmas, but for another few years to come. And maybe the good thing about this recession is that it will have us return to the true meaning of what this season is about, the family, and caring for each other, caring for your neighbor who probably doesn't have enough for Christmas. And just sit and enjoy the simple whatever it is that you have.
Dr. Sutherland has some other tips to help you enjoy the festive season on a tight budget. 1. Make a list. Include everything you need to buy, gifts, food and all, and take it with you when you go shopping. 2. Don't buy unnecessary things. Only get what you need. 3. Buy practical gifts your friends and loved ones can actually use. 4. Watch those Christmas lights. Turn them off after a few hours. Remember the light bill in January. 5. On Christmas Day, try pooling resources for dinner. Consider a potluck where everyone brings something to the table. And finally, a few words of advice from the Consumer Affairs Commission.
First, don't get depressed. You're not the only one in the situation we're in. Everyone has to cut back this year. So don't get depressed. Secondly, like I said before, do a total assessment of what your income level is. Remember, you get paid early in December, but you get paid late in January. January, all the kids go back to school. All the utility bills are doubled. So because everybody's at home, you have family from out of town and so on. So think about those expenses. You have to find more creative ways to satisfy the needs of your families, your friends and so on. And if they are in this situation, they too will understand that they can't have a gift, the quality and the expense of last year. Think about the security of your home. Think about the security of your belongings, your personal belongings. Also think about your property, your car, park in a lighted area. Make sure that your kids are with you all the time. Make sure you get back credit cards and debit cards when you hand them to a customer service representative. And also ensure that you get written warranties for any high-value item that you might have to purchase. And most of all, at the Consumer Affairs Commission, we always say, the receipt is your identification. So make sure you get a proper receipt so that in the event you get a substandard good, you can return it.
Whatever your budget, remember to share love this Christmas and focus on the reason for the season.
Once there's life, there is hope. As long as I have food to eat and something nice to drink. Yes, I give God thanks.
For the same children when I have no parents, no father, no mother. As a musician and the brethren them, we'll cook some nice food, buy some drinks and set up the thing and make the youth them have a nice time.
Before we go, we leave you with these words. As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. Words of freedom fighter and former South African President Nelson Mandela, who at age 95 passed away last week Thursday. And that's where we close the pages of Jamaica Magazine for today. Join us tomorrow on this station. We'd love to hear from you, so send us a tweet at JIS News or send an email to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. Be sure to click on our newly branded and upgraded website, jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. See you next time.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.